Good evening to all of you, and again I'm back with a new set of questions on exception handling and one class of exception handling, one interview question, interview preparation class of exception handling we have seen it, and that was a very basic set of series that already we have discussed, guys, right? So if you are getting any questions, any doubts in that, you are most welcome. You can please ask, you can write that doubts, your questions in the comment box, so that again we can reply, guys. So let's move for the further question in the case of exception handling, like what is there in the exception handling and how it is going to be processed. So the today very first question, as already you would have seen on your thumbnail of this video, that was try and catch, right? It is what was the try and catch, and how we talk about the try and catch and what all the possible combinations we can write with the try and catch, right? So all of you get connected fastly. Once give me. All of you get connected fastly in that, and so that we can see how many of you are connected, guys. Well, fine. So we'll start up with the question number 1. क्या है देखो. Okay. So the first of all, we need to understand one point, that how can we handle the exception, how to handle any exception, the how to handle any exception, how we are going to handle any exception. That is the very first and important question which first we are going to discuss, that how we are going to handle any type of exception. So first, guys, I'll just be going through the programmatically how we are going to handle any exception, and what is the scenario where we are going to get this sort of means requirement to handle these sort of exceptions here, right? So in this class, till the end we are going to discuss many important questions, but at this time what we are discussing is that what is the requirement to handle the exception, what are the best ways, best practices to handle the exception. That everything we are just going to show you with the help of by writing the programs here. So look at this now. Here if I'm writing something, if I'm trying to write something in this, here just look at this now, we will be writing some programs in this. So one second, guys, I'll write some program in this. Okay, so we'll open the first Eclipse and hope this is visible to you all. Okay, so let me show you this. I hope it is visible, and if anything is there, you can please write it. So guys, what I want to do here in this first is I'll write here. What is that I'm writing now? One program I wanted to write. First, what I'll do is int I1 is equal to integer dot parse int I'm writing. Well, when you are attending this classes of exception handling and something related to that, so I'm expecting that you must be having this knowledge of what exactly integer dot parse int does and what all its processing is. So here, guys, I'll write args of args of here I'm writing the 1. So guys, very first question which could come to our mind, what we may think, the very first question we may think about this. The very first question guys is here, let's say I'll write one more line. One more line I am writing int of I2 is equal to, let's say 10 divided by, here I am writing the I1. And many of the important questions as such I am going to talk about or I am going to discuss about. I'll be writing here I2. Now, question is, what is the important question here is, the question what we may think is, how do we know that we need to handle the exception? Your question could be, how do we know that I need to handle the exception? How do I know that, or you can say when to handle the exception? This is one important thing. And whenever anyone, if we are writing any program, so that is one question, like how we will be understanding that where exactly we are going to handle the exception, what is the basic process when we are going to handle this exception. This is one very important thing which we can understand, which we can get it into that. Okay, so let's see here now. First, here guys, see, if we have written this line, so first of all, now if it is a built-in things you are writing, so I'll do one thing. I'm opening the command prompt, and when I'm opening the command prompt in this now, so I'll be writing something called as the java java.lang which is that integer I'm writing. In this integer we have some methods which is going to be the parse int method. We are going to look into that. Where is the parse int method? It is available. Where it is? Integer dot parse int method. Where we are getting it? You will find it inside this class itself, that integer.parseInt method we will be getting here, right? So with this method called as parseInt method, what we have, so we may analyze one basic thing, that in case, so what is that analyze, well, what we need to analyze here, let's understand here first. In this line number 7 here, which we are getting, I am running this program. I am simply running this program, run Java application, and I am running this program. What is that which is coming to this program? What is there in this program, guys? The program what we are getting here is that exception in method, something here, it is giving that array index out of bound exception. Array index out of bound exception. So this basically the meaning of this itself here is, so we should think, what we should think, that whenever we will run this program, so we should be having one option that user may provide the value of this first position of this string arg, or user may not provide. So since user may not provide, so in that case what is going to happen? If user is not providing that value, what is going to happen? Which means that this could come in the form of exception. So the first case is that user may not provide the value. That is first thing. Second thing is user may not provide enough number of inputs Third one again, what is the third one is user may not provide here, user may not provide compatible input. These all are the possibilities which a user may do, which a user may create, user may do this sort of problems that it may not provide the proper input, it may not provide. So these all are the problems which may happen with this particular line here, what we are getting in this line. So yes, definitely. Now this is the point, and even I will show you. This is one exception you would have seen. I'll do one thing. I'll just do one thing. I'll take it out and I'll just copy it. And the first one which is there is I have written here. What is that I have written? User may not provide the value. So user may have not provided the value. So what in this case it is giving? That java.lang.array index out of bound exception, that the 0th position you have not given anything here, 0th position you have not done something. Guys, please do like the video at least, right? And next one, guys, inside this, what next further we are trying to do? And the second point here, our expectation is again, so let's say here what I'll do now in this, I'll run this. Whenever as such I'm running it, so maybe I'm providing, see, 10 I have provided, proper expected value I have provided, there is no problem, there is no exception, nothing is happening inside this case, right? But meanwhile, in the same case, suppose here instead of 0 I'm writing the 3, I'm writing the 3 here, and here if I will do one thing from here, suppose 1, 2 you have given one value you have provided. So what is happening? Again, array index out of bound exception, which means what happened? That you have not provided the sufficient number of input, and that is one reason why the exceptions may come. One reason why exception may come in this case. Okay. Now next one inside this, guys, what is the further things which we could look at it into this? That I'm trying what next to do in this one itself. So let me do one thing first here. Let me write the 0. I hope you understand the meaning of writing the parameter of arg as in 0 or 1. Okay, now here in this I'll be running it in this format. So let's say I'm giving the 0, or not, instead of 0 I'll be just giving the ABC. Now when you have given ABC, so you now see the what sort of inputs you are going to get. This is one more, another type of problem you are getting here. This is the another type of issue which you are facing into this case. So this is one issue which you have got it here. That is the java.lang.number format exception for the input string ABC we have written. What is that for the input string ABC? ABC, which means that as I told, that may not provide the compatible input. This is what may not provide compatible input means. What compatible input means here? That it cannot convert the string ABC to the form of integer. That's the reason this problem is coming. So we need to think. So what is the first thing which may expect? That I'll be writing into the try block. Now immediately after writing it into the try block, what I do now in this is, we are even suspecting, let me remove this line. So again here you see, so these all are the possibilities with any specific line you may get. These all are the different sort of possibilities you may get with the any of the specific line, right? So I am writing that inside the try block, and associated with the try block, now here we have the catch parameter. What we have? The catch parameter we have. So we are writing the catch here. So try. Okay, now next one, guys. Here, well, at this time I'm writing some exception here. So I'll tell you how this is going to work and what all its basic processing is and what all its way of. Okay. Second thing, maybe the user what it is doing. So see here, if 10 divided by I1 is there, right? 10 divided by I1 is there. So if the value of I1, suppose the value of I1 suppose is equal to maybe the 1, 2, anything you are writing, doesn't matter here, you can write anything till n. But at the same time now, if the I1 is equal to, we could write 0, so what will happen? If I am writing I1 is equal to 0, so what is going to happen? When you write I1 is equal to 0, guys, so this is going, it is not creating any sort of exception at this time, but the same proper thing may create exception in this case. Here this line may cause some sort of exception. This is one basic thing which you should understand. So this particular line may create some sort of exception, may cause some sort of issues in that case, right? So again, we need to think even this particular issue also. So let's see, here I'm giving inside this now, that is the, let's say I'm giving the 0, and since when I'm applying 0, so something here it is giving I1, the value of I1 is I'm giving 0. So okay, well, here already you have handled the exception. So that is the thing here. If I'll print here something, so now in this case what I'll do now, I'm printing here the E. What I'm doing now, E I'm writing in this. E is what? A reference of that corresponding exception we are getting. So what we have done now, guys, you can just check it out here, that here see what is happening. Main in JTC, and since 1 second, here now I'm running this program, you can see what it is printing, arithmetic exception divided by 0, that we have created some kind of problem by dividing it 0. So that is one issue which we should not do, which we should not handle it, right? Okay, which we should not write it here. So the first thing, one important thing which I'm trying to explain you here, the very important thing which I'll be explaining you how it is going to first work into these cases, right? So let me explain you some of the internal processes, how it is going to work, and then again I'll be coming to this, the same try and catch block and same its processing of the try and catch here, right? So here let's look into this process, how it is going to work and what all its basic processing. See, the first thing is, if anywhere you have written some try and catch block, if you have written any try and catch block, let's understand it here. What is that now? Suppose here you are writing try block and some statement you are writing, the way I have written in the program, some statement you are writing associated with the catch block you are writing, and here is the exception of E you are writing in the catch parameter, and you are printing here E. So what exactly happening in this case? What is the process which is being done internally? So see, first of all, whenever any exception occurred inside this try block, whenever any problem occurred in this try block, immediately control will be transferred to the JVM. Immediately what will happen? Control will be transferred to the JVM. Now, why it is being transferred to the JVM? Why? Because here some problem, some unexpected scenario occurred. Here some unexpected scenario occurred, and that's the reason the control is being transferred to the JVM. That unexpected scenario occurred, and that particular control, whatever the control you have, it is being transferred to the JVM. This control is being transferred to the JVM in this case. Is that clear now? The control which is there has been transferred to the JVM. Now when it's been transferred to the JVM, so JVM will take out this problem and it will try to identify that what sort of problem it is now, right? So then it will pass it to the throwable. It is going to pass it to the throwable. Why? Because throwable itself is the superclass for all the exceptions and errors. For these both things, throwable is itself is the superclass. So if anything comes, any problem comes into this, that every problem is going to be here, right? So now it will identify either it could be the error or the exception, whatever it could be. So what it does, let's say that it is some exception occurred. So whatever exception is coming, that is going to be the subclass of what? Exception class itself. Any exception, let it be any exception, if it is occurred, that is going to be the subclass of exception itself, right? It is. So then what it is going to do now, then after identifying it, JVM will create the object of that identified exception class object, and then it will throw to the corresponding catch block, which means inside this exception of E, what we have inside this one, the actual exception which has occurred, that subclass object has been stored inside this E here, right? Is that okay now? And when subclass object has been stored inside E, that is what when you are printing it, so internally it calls even the E dot toString method, even it calls, and that's the way, means however it has been overridden, in the same way it is printing it here, and that the same way it is giving it to you here, right? Okay, now we will understand one more thing over here. So I hope you understand the internal processes, how exactly exception is being caught, and how it is coming to your catch block, and what all its other processing. Guys, if in this you are also getting any sort of questions, any doubts, you can please write me in the comment box. You can please write me in the check box, right? It is. Now let's move to the another one into this, the catch block here. So when we are not sure that which type of exception is there, so you can write blindly that it is some sort of exception, it is inside this, and that is what the processing which is there, it is being done into this, right? Now what I next want to do here is, what I want to do here in this is, now I don't want to write directly the exception class here. So I don't want to write. So whatever the problems we would have analyzed, let me write here. One, I am writing array index out of bound exception. Yes, we can write it. Now one array index out of bound exception I have written, and then so we have one basic idea that when this exception could occur in this case, so what I'll write, that please provide the input, because okay, this is the input which you need to provide. We are expecting that at the same time other type of problem also may come. Other type of problem also may come in this case. So what is that other type of problem may come? So I'll write the catch block in this again, and here is the problem. What was the problem into this now? Suppose that is the number format exception I am writing. Number format exception I have written. Multiple catch blocks I am writing here. So even in this itself, I will make you clear that what all things you should remember while writing the multiple catch block also. So here in this, guys, you should check it out now. Here what I am writing, that is the please provide the numeric input, and associated with this, that is the plus of E I am writing. This is also one point which I have given. Again, we were expecting some more type of exceptions, so I'll write again catch block. See, that is what the thing which you need to understand. Arithmetic exception, I'm writing here arithmetic exception of E. So remember one point, here I am writing the multi, and lastly, if you are not sure that if any is left, so you can write directly the exception of E. This is what the process here now. Now you see, guys, what is going to happen in this. Once let me do one very basic thing. What is that basic things which I am trying to do? It's an, here what I'll be writing, please provide non-zero value. Okay, and okay, see, so here see how it is going to be processed. I'll be telling you many new things into this. So meanwhile guys, please like the video at least, right? Okay, now in this case, what is the further thing which I'm trying to do? See, whenever we are running the program, whenever we are trying to run the program, whatever we are trying to do, if any exception occurred in these lines, if any exception occurred in this line, then only control will be transferred to, if suppose exception occurred here at this line, so control will be immediately transferred to the corresponding matching catch block. So how it is, and see immediately then these lines will be ignored, in that case will not be processed here. So well, I'll do one thing here. Let me show you something in this. Here suppose I'm not providing any sort of input. I'm not providing any input and still I'm running the program. So see what happened here. What happened here? Array index out of bound exception. This was the exception. Please provide the input. So here see that, is it giving some message on your console? Please provide some input on your console. If this is the case, if this is the particular one, so what is happening here? Now you can see the benefit of using the exception, the benefit of using the things which you can understand, like how, what is the main benefit of writing these things are, right? It is. Now next one, here I'm writing few more things inside this, guys. What is that few more things as such I'm trying to write now? Let's say I'm writing inside this now. Let's say I'm writing 0. So 0 when I'm applying, so what is happening? See, it is instructing you that please do not provide the 0 value. So did you got my point, that what is the benefit and what sort of help you are getting when you have handled these all exceptions? What sort of benefit you are getting while handling this sort of exceptions here in this? Definitely you must have got some idea that what benefit you are going to get by writing these all exceptions or by writing this exception handling. So see, remember one point, when you are handling these exceptions, multiple try and catch when you are writing, so there should not be any statement between try and catch. Means it should be, means like directly you can write it inside this, that what is the try and catch you wanted to write it. Accordingly, now there should be, so here exception, whenever you are writing the multiple catch blocks, you should make sure one thing. What you should make sure one thing, that exception should not be the first parameter of the catch block, or after writing the exception, means the parameter of the catch block or the order of the parameter of the catch block should not be from sub to super, super to sub. It is going to be the sub to super, means above to that all you can write is the subtype of that corresponding exception classes, whereas you cannot write this on the top. But if you are writing on this top, so here that's what again I am trying to show you one very simple thing. Here you say here in that, if in case, or else you do one thing here. If I will write here, I am just removing this point, and after doing it, now here I'll write catch. Inside this catch, what I'm doing now, exception of E I'm writing. Well, you cannot write this. This is not allowed. Why? Because there is a very basic meaning, and you can write even the reason. You all, if you are understanding it properly, you all can write the reason why exactly we should not write the exceptions in the first one, and then after the subclasses of that corresponding exceptions, you can please write the reason for this exception. But yes, of course, if you remove these all things, then what you can do here now, you can write the catch block with the, which one now? Throwable. You can write this here, the throwable E. You can write like this. Why? Because throwable is the superclass of exception. So I hope you would have got a clear idea what exactly as such I'm talking about. What is the main things inside this, right? It is. So hope if any question is there, you do write it in the comment box. Now next one again inside this, guys. The thing is, the thing is, in this one, there is one new concept introduced from the JDK 1.7. A new concept what is introduced from JDK 1.7 is that if I'll write here the catch block inside this now, so see, by writing a single try and catch itself, you can handle all the exceptions. So here you can see that is array index out of bound exception. Here I'm using this. Now number format exception, see, in a same line we are doing, guys. Number format exception, arithmetic exception I'm doing, and again here is the number format exception I'm doing. One second. Number format exception I'm doing. Okay, already I have written number format. Null pointer exception I'm doing. All that I can write it here. Here you can keep it in mind. This is the one basic things which I have written here. Very good visible India. Yes, true, you are absolutely right. Some of your questions I am ignoring because that question is not making any sense to me. That's the reason I am not answering that all questions. Okay, so array index out of bound exception, number format exceptions, and arithmetic exception, null pointer exceptions. But remember one point, and this is basically introduced from the JDK 1.7, guys. So here the basically one thing what you should do in these cases is, what is that? You should not write here any superclass of the exception. You should not write here the exception, because if you write here the exception, what happens is there's no meaning of writing the other one here, right? That's the reason we should not write even the exception. And better, the reason, well, I have already explained it, the process and doing these all things, right? So what you can do is you can write, well, in the comment box, comment section, you can write this, how it is being processed, what all the other things are being done into these cases, right? So guys, if you are getting, if you are getting any questions, do write it in the chat box. Now next one inside this, I hope you understand by writing the try and catch. And again here, this is one important thing, that how we are going to do with this. Now next inside this, there is one important thing. There is one important question here is that finally, what is the use of finally into these cases here? So let's see what is the meaning of finally first. Let's understand that when we should write the finally and what all its use cases of the finally is. Now we will see here. I'm writing few things. Now, what is that I'm writing? See, first, whenever you are writing some program, so what is happening? Why this question is coming? So I'm explaining try catch with finally. What I'm explaining? Try catch with finally. I'm explaining, guys, here. So well, you are writing here the try. Some statement you are writing, statement 1, statement 2. Catch you are writing. Fine. And here some exceptions you will write. Maybe some statement you are again writing. So what is happening? What is happening? If any exception occurred over here, if any exception occurred at statement number 3, immediately control will be transferred to the corresponding catch block. Immediately control will be transferred to the corresponding catch block. Is that okay? Now, but what happens in some of the cases, guys, some of the scenarios, what we want is that some of the specific line, some of the specific code must be processed. So we wanted to make sure, and the catch block, when it will be processed, when any exception occurred. In case exception occurred, then only catch block is going to be processed, or else catch block is not going to be processed if no exception occurred into these cases, right? So by writing the finally block, we will make sure that whether any exception occurred in this program or not, finally block must be processed. If any exception occurred or not, that finally block must be whatever you are writing inside the finally block, that will be processed in any case, until if any exception occurred or not. Only one case, when the system dot what you are writing exit, when it is coming, then only your finally block will not be processed. Whenever the system.exit is encountered, in this case only finally block will not be processed. Right? Means, hope you got my point, that if anything, whatever you are doing it, if that states so, finally block here will not be processed in that case. But remember one more point. Associated with a try and catch, here when you are writing this one particular one, if suppose finally you are writing one, again one more finally you are writing, you cannot write more than one finally associated with a try. You cannot write more than one finally associated with a try in this case here. Now next point. Here, is it mandatory to write the catch block? Is it mandatory to write the catch block? No. If you want, you can write here directly the finally, here you can write, no need to write the catch block in these cases here, right? So hope you are getting a clear idea, you are getting a clear concept, like what it is the finally is and what all it's processing it and what is its behavior again, right? So in case you are getting any questions, you are getting any doubt, do write in the comment section, you do write in the chat box here, right? Next question, what was that? Right, guys, there is a very popular question. Very popular question is, what is basic difference between finally and finalize? What is the basic difference? What is the difference between finally and finalize? Finally and finalize. Remember this point. Finally is a what? Block. Just now we have seen what is the block and what is its uses associated with the block, how it is going to be processed, right? It is now sorry. Final is a modifier by using the final. So final, where we can use different labels, we can use with the class, we can use with variables, we can use with methods, we can use, right? It is, and again with the inner class we can use. So these all things is the associated with the finally. What is finally? Again, just now we have seen about the finally, that finally we will be writing associated with a try catch. In general, it finally we will be using to perform the resource cleanup associated with the try and catch here, right? So that is the finally must be processed whenever we are writing with this, and so that I hope you are clear. Now finalize, garbage collector, have you heard the name? Garbage GC. So finalize is also being used to perform the resource cleaning whenever GC is coming, before the GC. So whenever GC comes, finalize will be called automatically to perform the resource cleanup, and inside that finalize method itself you will be performing your resource cleanup. So this is available inside the object class. Finalize method is available inside the where now? Object class, and you can override even in your class here depending on your requirement, depending on your processing. So I hope, and if you want to know more about the finalize method, check the other playlist. Already I have explained a lot about the finalize method. you will get the better idea in that case. And even if you are not getting a clear idea, please write it in the chat box or comment box, any specific question related to the Finalize, definitely I'll answer. One more question we may get related to the Finalize, that as such I just now told that the finally and finalize both are used for the resource cleanup. So which one you will prefer more? Compare means which one, either finally you will prefer more or finalize you will prefer more. Which one you will prefer more to perform the resource cleanup? Which one is better according to you? So always we should be going with the finally block. Why? Because with the finally block there is a surety that it is going to be processed, whereas with the finalize block there is no surety. Whenever GC is being called, at that time only finalize method will be called. If the GC is not coming, finalize will not be coming. And since there is no guarantee when GC is going to come, or there is no guarantee when GC is not going to come, so if we are going to be dependent to finalize method itself, then we may fail in performing the resource cleanup. That's the reason we should go with the finally block in order to perform the resource cleanup, and more appropriately, right, it is okay. How it is being used better we will be discussing in the further classes, because at this time we are not using any resources. We are not using any resources like database connections, file input and all other things. So that we are not using. So better, if you want to understand the resource cleanup, go through one JDBC tutorial. Already I have uploaded approximately 5 hours of JDBC is there. So please go through that JDBC. You will get how finally is being used in a proper manner, right? Okay. Now next guys, next question here is, I'm coming auto-closable interface. What exactly auto-closable means? Right, it is. What is the auto-closable interface? So it is introduced from JDK 1.7, auto-closable interface. So let's look at it into this. What is the auto-closable interface? See, here we will write java.lang auto closable interface. We are writing this guys here. What we are doing in this case? Here in this case, now this is the auto closable interface in which the close method is there here, right? So this is one very important point of auto closable which is introduced from the JDK 1. Let me explain to you what exactly auto closable interface is. Fine. So I'll just do one thing here first. See, now here I'll be writing one very popular example, and which generally I use in order to explain it. Sometimes what happens, okay, see here I'll write a class A. Here I'm writing class A. So class A implements which one now? Auto closable interface. Since it is implementing, it is a functional interface, so we must have to override the close method. So I'll write it here, one statement inside this I'm writing that A resource is closed. A very simple line of statement as such I have written here. Here I have written here, fine. And well, inside this guys, I'm writing few more things. What is that few more things? A resource open. This is one I'm using a very simple one. The same thing further will be applied on the many other cases. Now the guys, same thing what I will do now with the same process. I'll just check it out and I'm writing it here, and here is one more another concept I'm applying. The concept which I'm applying is the B implements auto closable interface, and since inside this case there is the B I'm writing, and here, so I'll just do one thing, that is the B resource open, and here inside this B resource closed. This is one simple thing I have written. Now what I want to do is, now I'm just as such trying to use these all resources. So well, I'll write try inside this, guys, I'll write A of A1 is equal to new A, B of B1 is equal to new of B. I'm writing this is 1. See here, I'm sure that you are looking here at a different sort of syntax, isn't it? You're looking at the different syntaxes, and here I'm writing the catch block, and inside this catch block, exception of E, well, I'm writing, and here in this case now E I am printing in this. So well, inside this case, what I just want to do here is I'm writing here using A and B resource. This is one I have written. And see, I'm not going to close all these resources. Automatically, these resources will be opened as well as these resources will be closed. Here you can see this output. See what is happening. A resource open, B resource open. You are using these both resources A and B, whereas now what it is being done, it is being automatically closed by maintaining a specific order. This is an auto-closable interface, guys, and it is introduced from the JDK 1.7. Very important, very important. And nowadays, if you talk about JDBC or other resources, whatever you are using, that almost all are implementing internally the auto-closable interface. Well, next case here, what further we are trying to do in this case is, what further we are trying to achieve with this. Now see, previously the closing implementation we were doing into the finally. So now we no need to write the finally block, and here must be processed. Here I'm running it, this program. You can see must be processed, which means that in last it, so there is no need to write the finally block when we are using the auto closable interface. Now remember one point. Suppose here, from here I'm just removing this auto closable interface. From here I'm removing this auto closable interface. So the time when I'm removing this auto closable interface, now you will see here it has started giving error that B resource which is there is not the implementer of auto closable interface. B type of resource is not implementing the auto closable interface. So that is one important thing, guys. So if you have any further questions, please do write it in the chat box, please do write it in the comment box, and further if anything comes, let us know, and hope this class helps you a lot. Again, tomorrow we will see the different set of questions, different set of answers with that. If guys you are getting any other type of questions which we might not be discussing here, write it in the chat box, write it in the comment box, so that whenever we are looking at that, we can discuss that all questions again for you. Thank you. Good night to all of you.